What's up, ladies and gentlemen? The Game of Thrones community is buzzing once again after HBO released 15 new photos from scenes during their filming of Season 7. I apologize for not having this video up sooner, but I was actually already in the process of uploading this video about the long night yesterday, so I figured I would just wait and get that one out first, then give you this one today. So if you haven't watched my new video about the long night, definitely check that out after you finish this one. Alright, now let's dive right into this and see what we can come up with. There will be a good bit of spoilers talked about here too, just to let you know. The first photo is of Lyanna Mormont at Winterfell shortly after she just gave her amazing speech where she burned a couple Northerners and made it known that Jon Snow is her king. Everyone realized she was right, and after a few quick apologies for not helping Jon's cause, everyone started to chant "King in the North, King in the North." This was easily one of my favorite scenes from last season, but not everyone was on board with Jon Snow being king. As you can see in this photo, Littlefinger's bitch ass is still in the back, sulking like a baby. Obviously, Littlefinger is going to be a problem this season, a problem that the North will have to deal with, and hopefully one of the Starks will put him out of his misery. This scene should take place in the very first episode of Season 7. The last time we were here in this scene, Jon Snow had just stood up as they were chanting he was their king, so we will more than likely hear Jon give some kind of a speech, and hopefully he makes it known that Sansa deserves some kind of recognition as well. She does technically have the stronger claim to Winterfell by blood. This next photo is with Daenerys, Tyrion, Missandei, Grey Worm, and Varys. You can also see the Unsullied standing in formation behind them. Looking at some of these facial expressions, it makes me wonder exactly what's going on here. Grey Worm looks pissed, and Missandei looks a little scared or nervous, but Tyrion, Dany, and Varys all have their poker faces on. We do know that Jon is heading south, but I do not think this is them meeting Jon here. We know from set photos that Tyrion meets and greets Jon on the beach, where they shake hands. So it wouldn't make much sense to meet him here, then meet him again and shake hands. However, I do think this is on Dragonstone. This may be them stepping foot on Dragonstone for the first time. Well, not the first time for all of them, but you know what I mean. This is them more than likely landing on Dragonstone, looking at what is now a dreadful looking castle. Dany's dragons may even be flying over top of Dragonstone, making it look even more grim. The next photo is just a close-up of the same photo of Tyrion. I love that he is rocking that Hand of the Queen pin, which is slightly different from the one we've seen in King's Landing. I believe the other Hand of the King pin was gold. But Tyrion does look badass. I hope Cersei gets a good look at Tyrion again before she dies. I want her to see that he is now a boss with the support of the largest army and 3 dragons behind him. I can't wait to see her reaction when she finds out where Tyrion has made it in life. But I also can't wait to find out Tyrion's reaction when he learns that Cersei is now on the throne, after blowing up part of the city, which then resulted in her own son's suicide. If the dragon pit scene at the end of the season is real, I cannot wait to see the look on everyone's faces when they see everyone's new position. It's going to be really exciting and tense. The next photo is a close-up of Missandei. She's looking very beautiful in these new threads, and she also has a pin on her chest. But what's interesting is, she was not wearing the pin in the previous photo. If this is them arriving on Dragonstone, then she does not have this pin yet. So this photo makes me think this will be later in the season, after she receives the pin, obviously. If you look closely, it does have 3 dragons on it, which is pretty cool. Missandei is officially one of Dany's best advisors and friends. Not to mention she is her part-time interpreter. The next photo is a close-up of Varys. It does appear that he is standing in the throne room on Dragonstone. He is more than likely standing next to Daenerys as she is sitting on the throne. They are probably meeting someone here to have a discussion or greeting someone for the first time. Perhaps we could get another scene with Kinvara here. That's more wishful thinking on my behalf, but if you heard one of my collab videos we talked about this scene before, then you know both of us wanted to hear what else Kinvara has to say to Varys. Let's hear the truth, not just speculation. But I do like what Varys has on though. I like the fur around the neck, but now that winter is here, no one can hide from it forever, so it's cool to see everyone is preparing for the winter. This next photo is Daenerys Targaryen standing where it looks to be her throne room on Dragonstone once again. She looks to be in deep thought here. She also has her hands clenched together, so we may see some emotion in this scene. Perhaps this is when Jorah Mormont returns to Daenerys as a cured man. If you've been watching all my videos the past few months, then you know that Jorah does return to Daenerys on Dragonstone. So I think this might be her seeing Jorah again for the first time since she told him to go get himself cured. Then return to her because she does need him by her side when she takes Westeros. This next photo is just badass. Take a good look at the Hound here. I love this photo. This is obviously the North. The last time we saw the Hound, he was with the Brotherhood Without Banners. He was talking to Thoros and Beric Dondarrion. He was told that the cold winds were rising in the real war. The real threat is up in the north. The Hound does seem to have a new purpose in life, and that will be helping Jon win the new war for the Dawn. And I'm really hoping we get to see the Hound stop by Winterfell on his way up north. I would love for him to interact with Sansa again or even Brienne, but what I want the most is the reunion with Arya. We know that Arya is in Westeros heading home, so I definitely think these two characters will cross paths again at some point. If he doesn't go to Winterfell first, then he may go straight to the wall where the cold winds are rising the strongest. He does appear to be marching with more men than we saw him with the last time, so that may be the case here. And I'm really looking forward to touching base with the Hound again next season to see what he's going to be up to. But speaking of Winterfell, this next photo is of Sansa and Littlefinger. It appears that they are overlooking the little courtyard at Winterfell. If you've seen any of my other Littlefinger and Sansa prediction videos, then you should know exactly what I'm thinking when I saw this photo. As soon as Jon leaves for Dragonstone, that's when Littlefinger is going to be right back in Sansa's ear, preaching that she should have control of the North. Fuck Jon Snow, he's just a bastard, he's only your half-brother, he doesn't deserve anything, yada yada yada. I just hope Sansa's character progresses and doesn't fall back into Littlefinger's traps. She told Jon only a fool would trust Littlefinger, so I'd be really pissed off if her character went back to the same old bullshit again. Sansa now knows Littlefinger's ultimate goal, so hopefully she can use that as leverage and outplay him at his own game, which will ultimately lead to his demise. This next photo is just fantastic. This gets me even more hyped for the prediction video that I made about a month ago. We all know by now that Tormund is loving him some Brienne, and it looks like his pursuit of her affection will not be ending at any time soon, which is just hilarious. This does appear to be in the courtyard at Winterfell as well. Perhaps this is when Brienne and Podrick make it back from their failed attempt to get the Blackfish to help with the battle for Winterfell. Or perhaps Tormund is getting ready to leave and head north. Knowing he may never make it back alive, he's probably thinking, fuck it, let me take a crack at this one more time before I go. I know most people want to see Brienne and Jaime get together, but I'm 1000% on board with Tormund and Brienne instead. And I know I said this before, but can you imagine if Brienne and Tormund had a child together? What type of absolute badass that kid would grow up to be? Hopefully Brienne starts to open up a little more around Tormund. He don't bite. But anyways, let's move on to the next photo. This one is a little further up north with Meera and Bran. First, I just want to say, can someone give Meera Reed a Medal of Honor for what this young lady has done for Bran? She went way above and beyond the call of duty in some of the most terrible situations to be in. Here she is once again trekking north beyond the wall, more than likely, dragging this big-ass man-child through the snow and below freezing temperatures. Bran seriously needs to cut the shit and walk already. He barely stubbed his toe when he fell from that tower. Nah, I'm just kidding, but I'm wondering where they got another sled. Benjen picked them up on his horse and took them to safety, and when he dropped them off, they did not have the sled with them still. I guess Meera is pretty resourceful, but I just thought that was pretty interesting. I was wondering how she was going to get him from the weirwood tree to the wall. Benjen could have at least let Meera use his horse to take Bran to the wall. Then someone from the Night's Watch could have followed her back to Benjen to drop his horse back off. It wouldn't have been that big of a deal. But I'm wondering if this is Bran and Meera having to flee again. I mentioned in a previous video that maybe Bran has no choice but to go through the wall because they were found again, even if he knows the mark could remove the magic from the wall. But I like this photo because there are a few different things that could be going on here. They could also be south of the wall already in this scene. I'd like to think that the Night's Watch would get them a horse to use, especially when Ed learns that this is Jon's little brother. But you never know. They could go through the same tunnel they went through before that Sam and Gilly showed them. This next photo is interesting too. We see Sam and Gilly both studying some of the manuscripts and histories of Westeros. And I like Sam's new garb too. Sam's definitely going to be using his time wisely while he is there. More than likely only studying the things that are important for him, Jon, and saving the realm in general. And I also like that Gilly is committed to the cause too. Sam has been a great man to her and her child, and he has helped teach her how to read, and she knows what is important to helping them defeat the others. She has seen firsthand just how dangerous they are. And she lived north of the wall and lived at Craster's Keep. So she's going to ride or die with Sam when it comes to this, and I like that about Gilly. She knows Jon Snow too, and she knows that's Sam's best friend. Sam told Gilly during the boat ride there that he needed to help Jon when it was time, and that's exactly what they're going to do. This would also help explain why Sam can figure all these things out so fast and get back to Winterfell next season. With Gilly's help, this is going to cut the studying time in half. We know that women and children aren't allowed in the library, so I'm assuming Sam must have got their own spot to stay, or at least study in private. But I'm very anxious to see what they are able to get from the Citadel and actually put to use. Next we have Davos looking like an absolute badass. He damn near looks like a northerner at this point, and I love that he now has his seat at the main table here in Winterfell next to Jon Snow. Davos has always been one hell of an advisor and a top negotiator, so he absolutely deserves a seat there in my opinion. And I'm going to assume that this is one of the first few episodes into the season. When Jon was named king in the north, I believe there was only 2 seats at the table for him and Sansa. But now that Jon runs shit, he made sure that his right half-hand man had a seat next to him too. And as maybe when Jon is addressing some of the people, letting them know that he needs to go south to Dragonstone. Not only for Dragonglass, but apparently someone has arrived with 3 really big-ass dragons and a really big-ass army. And everyone in this room knows exactly what we are going to need to do to have a chance of defeating the Night King and his army. And Davos is just the man to take with you to convince Daenerys that she needs to focus on the threat up north more than she does that throne. If she wants to keep that throne, then she's going to have to help. Next we see Arya Stark, and she looks to be in some type of tavern or inn. She probably stopped for some grub and some drinks as she makes her way up north to Winterfell. So I imagine this place is somewhere between the twins and her home. But there is one interesting thing I think I should point out here. Arya does appear to be looking at someone, and if you look at the 2 men sitting behind her, they are both looking in the same direction as well. So this makes me think someone is either speaking to the room or someone just walked in the door. That made everyone turn their heads to look. The look on Arya's face is subtle, but it makes me think whoever is talking, she knows who that person is. So it's going to be interesting when we get this scene to see what's going on here. It would be awesome if the Hound and the Brotherhood Without Banners were the ones that walked into the room right here, or even Melisandre. Get hype, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move on though. Here we have Cersei and Jaime Lannister. And I must admit, they both look pretty badass here. Cersei's looking fierce on the Iron Throne, and Jaime now has Widow's Wail on his hip, and we know that Valyrian steel is greatly needed in the north. So I'm still hoping that Jaime, or at least that sword, gets back up north where it belongs. But this appears to be another scene in a throne room, where someone is being greeted. I think this could be them meeting with Euron Greyjoy. If you've been following my videos, then you know that Euron's going to attack part of Dany's fleet early on in the season. Euron's going to capture Yara Greyjoy and a few of the Sand Snakes. He then takes them to King's Landing and drags them through the streets, more than likely working his way to Cersei, to present her a gift and hopefully a new alliance. I think this may be what we're seeing here. And it's also interesting that Jaime is by her side and not Qyburn or the Mountain. They could just be out of frame, but I'm wondering what those 2 freaks are up to. I do not think this scene will be during episode 1 next season though, because the last time we saw Jaime and Cersei, Jaime gave Cersei this look. So I doubt you go from giving someone this look to confidently standing by their side within the next episode. This will probably be episode 2 or 3 when Euron arrives in King's Landing, but that's just my guess. And we finally have Jon Snow, King in the North. And it looks like he's down in the crypts of Winterfell, ladies and gentlemen. And if you look off into the distance behind Jon, you can see the curvature of the wall, just like the crypts have, sort of like the shape of a tunnel. And you can also see the light glowing on the wall behind him. But there is something that needs to be pointed out here because people are probably thinking this is Jon looking at Lyanna's tomb. But look at the light coming through behind him. The light glowing on the walls has a bluish tint to it, which leads me to believe that that's the outside light coming into the crypt's entrance. I don't think Jon is very deep into the crypts here. And if you remember when Robert Baratheon and Ned came down here, it was complete darkness around Lyanna's tomb. We know it was daylight out when Robert and Ned came down here too, because Robert asked Ned to take him down here immediately after he arrived at Winterfell. So if this was where Robert and Ned were standing, you would have seen some of this blue light coming through as well. And if that were only a candle burning behind Jon, then it would have an orange glow to it on the walls. So this is more than likely Jon just paying his respects before he leaves Winterfell. Or this is when Rickon is taken down there. And perhaps Jon is paying his respects to Robb too. Jon hasn't seen Robb since they were young men, back when Robb told Jon the next time he would see him, he would be all in black. I expect to hear the Stark theme song here too, while Jon is in the crypts, making this a very emotional scene no matter who Jon is visiting down here. But we're also not even sure if Ned's bones made it back to Winterfell either, so my money would be on Rickon or Robb right here. I do not think we're going to get a Jon and a Lyanna scene together until Season 8. They're going to tease and hype this up the entire time though, but Jon won't find all this stuff out until the last season, unfortunately. But that's just my opinion. If you can point out something that tells me otherwise, I would absolutely love that, because I want to believe that Jon finds this out as soon as possible. But that's all I got for you right now, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully I added some extra insight to these photos that you may have not seen elsewhere. Hit that like button for me, please, if you enjoyed this. As always, I appreciate all the support. Comment below and give me your thoughts and opinions on these photos. Was there anything I missed? Let me know. But have a good day, and I'll see you down below. Bye.